Hi, I'm Bob Vila. Welcome home again to the emerging neighborhood of Ion, just outside of Charleston, South Carolina. Today, the house is far enough along that we're going to take a tour with Kevin and Betsy Kalman, our general contractors, so that we can get an idea of the layout of the different rooms in the house. Also, we're installing a Rumford fireplace, which has a few precast elements, and we'll be putting in some of the 24 Chadsworth columns that go on all the different porches. Stick around. It's great to have you home again. You know, one of the exciting things about this project is the amount of progress that we're seeing from week to week in the actual neighborhood. When we started here a month ago, we were looking at the progress of the infrastructure. The roads were being put in, the sewage, the electricity. But now, each time we come back here, we see new houses in the neighborhood that are getting completed, so that you get to a corner and all of a sudden you realize this is becoming a neighborhood. There's the beautiful yellow house. There's the other one that we've been looking at for 3 weeks. The columns have finally arrived. These big, huge two-story columns that will probably be installed today or tomorrow. And then on the other side of the lake, there's this wonderful house that when we were looking at it a week ago, it was a little bit boxy, but now you realize it's got this Italianate style and this beautiful dark red color. And here on our street, our particular house is at the finish stage, where we're putting in the trim along the eave lines, crown moldings. We're getting ready for the siding in a couple of weeks. We've got some of the windows already in place. We've got the house more or less closed off to the weather in that the tar paper's up on the roof, the felt, but the roofing itself won't happen until next week. But right now we've got a very exciting project, which is the building of a Rumford chimney. And we've got Mr. Jim Buckley with us, who is going to be explaining a little bit about the whole process of this type of fireplace. So let's go inside. Hey Jim, this is looking beautiful.
Hi Bob.
How are you?
Good.
So it's the Buckley Rumford Fireplace Company, right?
That's right.
And we'll talk about the precast elements a little later, but the firebox is gorgeous.
John and Steve here are doing a great job with his herringbone fire.
Yeah, that's not easy to do. Now, first you lay them all down flat and do all the cuts, right?
That's right. It makes it a lot easier. They cut them all out. Well, here's a little bit on the floor over here where they haven't put in yet.
Yeah, the very top ones. So that's one of the critical things is you lay everything out down to the smallest pieces for the top. And the only way you can do that is with the water saws, right?
That's right.
Now tell us a little bit about the theory behind this type of fireplace.
Well, Rumford fireplaces are named for Count Rumford. The design is about 200 years old. And they're, as you can see, tall and shallow to reflect a lot of heat. Mm-hmm. And then this throat is the rounded or curved part that the air comes in the face of the fireplace and turns a quarter circle through the throat.
Right, the throat is the transition piece between the firebox and the flue.
Right, and it's kind of like an airplane wing. You want to keep that air flowing in laminar fashion over there, and it shoots it like a carburetor, a nozzle of a hose into the smoke chamber. Yeah,
and most fireplaces that don't have that design, a lot of the heat that's generated from the firewood is lost right up the chimney.
That's right. This, the Rumford, by keeping it streamlined, we can make the throat maybe a third as small.
This is a nice brick, too. What type of brick are they using here?
Well, this is Whitaker Greer brick.
Say it again?
Whitaker Greer. They make it in Alliance, Ohio, and it's a dry press brick rather than extruded. So it stands. It's a fire brick, and it stands the heat.
So that means
well.
that rather than having the clay kind of in a vat and extruded through a form,
they press it.
They press it into forms.
That's right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And can you use Portland cement when you're building a firebox?
Well, you shouldn't, because Portland cement degrades at about 600 or 800 degrees, and so it has a short life, and it can't stand the heat.
This is what?
This heat stop refractory mortar is a high temperature mortar, and if you're using fire brick, you might as well use an equally high temperature mortar to put it together with.
Okay.
This is very versatile. We put the flues together with it. We can cast it into shapes as well as lay the fire.
But what's the chemical difference between Portland cement and this?
It uses a different kind of cement binder called aluminate,
okay,
rather than Portland cement.
Okay. So this is probably the way of code requirements.
Yes, some codes already required, and the new ICC codes, which will be out in a year or two, will all require it.
Okay. I see he's doing away with the plumb lines at
they're
this
up
point.
into his way, I suppose, now.
Yeah, yeah. And now we just have the last few courses to put together.
This is the top of the box here. It's 4 feet tall, and then that throat fits right on top of it.
Okay. The critical part of finishing off the herringbone is to get it all perfectly flat along the very top so that when we install the precast throat, we don't have to worry about it not fitting right. Now, the base for the whole chimney is essentially a poured concrete pad, and the space underneath it, which is walled in the perimeter with concrete block, is then filled in with sand. Then you've got all the rest of the shape, if you will, created out of solid half blocks like this, and this more or less creates the form of the Rumford. We're going to be putting the throat on a little bit later. Jim, I'll see you in a bit, but I see Kevin's outside, and we want to take a kind of progress report tour of the house. More details on building a Rumford fireplace and chimney are available at bobvila.com. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, Bob.
Things are coming along great.
We're working hard.
Yeah. No, you start really to get a sense of the proportions of the house. I mean, there's a lot of porch here.
A lot of porch. We're starting to get the columns in place. It's really starting to fall into place.
So we'll be looking at that a little bit later. I wanted to take a quick tour of the house to get an idea of the floor plan.
Sounds good.
Wow. Now, that's a lot of weight you got on this porch.
Yeah, we've stacked it up in place here, and then the masons are moving it inside.
Yeah, it's only there temporarily, but that's probably a couple of tons on this frame.
This frame's really put together. We've got triple header on the outside with ledgers, so it's really built.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the front door, and this is the foyer.
It's our main entry to the house.
And it relates nicely to the living room and the fireplace. And then, what's in there?
That's our powder room, Bob, connected by a small connecting hallway.
Oh, that's nice. It kind of isolates it there. And the, oh, hi, Betsy.
Bob.
How are you?
Fine. How are you doing?
So your partner in contracting, I thought she did inspectional services towards the end of the job. You're here early, right?
I usually check on the finish more than the framing. But I like to check the jobs as they're going along.
For what sort of stuff?
We look for cleanliness, kind of big picture safety items.
And then taking care of some things like the bathtubs, for example, which get put into the frame and very often get damaged unless...
They go in very early on and they need to be protected,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So this is the dining room we're in, and I love the ceiling heights in here. What are they?
10 foot on the first floor, 9 foot on the second floor.
Yeah, that's a really important thing in a hot climate like we have here. Because you can have the ceiling fans, you can have the big windows, heat rises.
It makes a big difference.
Get a breeze through. So the formal dining room, and then this is family room, right?
This is the family room.
Now, here we have a cathedral ceiling, but how will this be finished off?
We'll frame this wall in, Bob, flush with this partition here. We'll frame all the way up and create a cathedral.
Okay, so it goes all the way up to the top. And then why is this recessed in here?
This is the media center.
So we'll have cabinet work in here?
It will have built-in cabinetry.
All right. And then the actual working part of the kitchen is over here, right?
Kitchen's over here. We'll have a peninsula coming off this wall.
Coming off this corner.
That's right.
We've got a little bookcase floor to ceiling, and then we got a peninsula with the kitchen sink in it.
Yep.
And then around the corner from it, you've got the stove and the built-in ovens, and you can walk back into the formal dining room. So it's good, because the kitchen relates to both the formal dining room as well as the family room space.
Right.
And then what's down the hall over there, Betsy?
The washer, dryer, laundry room.
So this is a laundry room in there.
Yes.
And then what's in here, Kevin? This
is our secondary part of the kitchen, Bob. It's a whole separate area.
It's like a butler's pantry.
Correct.
And this opening kind of allows you to use both spaces.
It just relates to both areas. It's, you know.
Okay. And you've got another kind of living room and bedroom over there. So in a way, this could be part of an in-law suite.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
And then out here you've got?
We've got the kitchen porch.
Yeah, the kitchen porch. This is the third porch on this house, which is one of the real nice features.
All the porches are big.
Yeah, they're all big, they're all high-ceilinged, and of course, they'll be finished off in a traditional manner, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So Betsy, you'll be coming back through the job as the finish gets a little bit farther along, right?
That's right, yes.
Good. All right, well, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah. Let's go talk columns, because we're still installing them on the front, right?
That's correct.
We'll have 4 of them here, but let's go see what they're doing up front.
Great.
We'll be installing our Chatsworth columns in a moment, so stick around. All right, we're going to start showing how one of these beautiful columns from the Chadsworth Column Company go together. And Kevin, this is not an easy feat, but we do have Jeff Davis from Chatsworth with us today. Jeff, that's the base for the split one, right?
That's correct.
Let's put that down for a minute.
Okay.
Kevin, we've already put some of these in place, and it's a little bit more complicated than it would seem, right?
Yeah, they're a little tough to, easy to install, but they have to be installed in the correct order.
Well, and the thing here is that we're trying to meet the code requirement of tying the whole place down. So Russell's already nailed down this strap to the actual band joist on the side of the house, and he actually was down there a little while ago with the palm nailer, which is the best tool I've seen on a job in a while, and he put in about a half a dozen 16-penny nails so that this steel strap right here is really secured there. Then you got to thread it through the base and the column, and then tie it up at the top so that we have a continuously tied house.
That's correct. We really need the whole thing tied together to prevent uplift.
Yeah, to prevent uplift in a hurricane, because columns for thousands of years have been holding weight put on top of them, but when you've got a hurricane, the winds are trying to push the roof off, so this holds it all together.
Yes, that's the purpose of the strap. These
All right.
are weight-bearing columns.
Okay, well, let me know if I can help. All right, so...
Ready? Yeah, I got it.
What do these weigh, Jeff?
About 250 pounds each.
Uh-huh. Now you tell me. And you want to put it on that block, Russ?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want the pole to sit on the block.
Now, what are they made out of?
It's a marble dust is what you got on your hands.
That's marble dust,
It's
isn't it?
marble dust with the polymers, and it's a very heavy material, but it's very load bearing.
It is load bearing. That's what's amazing, because it's hollow. The thickness of the column itself is maybe
It's about 3/4 of an inch.
About 3/4 of an inch. And when I first saw them, I said, no, they can't be structural, but
They are. This column itself is about would hold about 16,000 pounds approximately, and it's rated on like a 5-time safety factor.
that's marvelous.
Are you ready?
Well, wait a minute, Kevin. You can't just prop them into place. You've had to put up this 4x4 on a house jack.
We put that in there, Bob, and we just barely put some pressure on it, crank it up just enough so when we stand that column vertically, it'll just slide into place and then drop it out and put the load right on the column.
Right. When you take the house jack back out, the load comes back down.
That's correct.
And you're talking maybe, what, 1/4 of an inch or so?
Just enough to get it in.
Yeah, all right. Well, let me help you from this end.
Can I do anything for you?
Up.
So we've got a couple of shims here just to keep this base out of the way. And Jeff, does the load bearing, does the base have anything to do with the load bearing?
No, it's completely decorative.
Yeah.
The weight is actually carried by the column shaft all the way from the flooring up to your soffit.
Yeah, not like back in the old days.
No, sir, not at all.
Good there, Ted?
What do you call this particular design?
This is a Tuscan design. It's one of the simplest of all the 5 orders of architecture, and it was done after an Etruscan man from the Greek and Roman period. It's very simple as far as a stout base. It goes up 1/3 of the column shaft before it starts its taper, which gives us an emphasis effect, or it gives the bulging of the column.
Yes, which is the classical.
That's correct.
In the old temples in Greece, when you were down here and you were looking up at these 40-foot columns, they swelled up a little bit and then they tapered back up.
Absolutely.
And that gave them that really impressive look. I think it's the best design because a totally straight column looks a little bit too mechanical.
Well, it is, and it also counters an optical illusion that makes any 2 straight lines look like they're leaning inward.
Yeah.
And so it works perfect on houses.
Yeah. How did you start this company?
I started it 13 years ago. I grew up in the South with a lot of columns,
Got it.
and I tried to get some columns. I couldn't find any, and ended up designing them and
There we go.
getting them in.
That's a good story. Now this is all that you need, huh?
That's it. That's all you need. You're not picking up any more than 1/4 or 1/2 inch, Bob. It doesn't take a whole lot.
Yeah. Okay, so now at this point, the capital gets attached, but have you already nailed the strap into the top?
No, we'll fish the strap out the top now, Bob, and pull it tight. And then, same thing, we'll use the palm nailer, and we'll throw all those nails in through every hole that
Let's watch.
hits the beam.
Great. Okay, now let me ask you one question. I know that you can't just go to the Home Improvement Center to get Chatsworth columns. It's 1-800-COLUMNS.
That's correct.
And so that's part of your marketing is you sell them.
We sell direct. We felt that with columns that you could teach everybody a little bit more and do get the better product to them. And so everything's sold directly through our mail order distribution.
I want your catalog. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Coming up next, we'll check in on the progress of our Rumford fireplace. Don't go away.
Now, Jim, does this refractive mortar set up very quickly, or does it have different kind of properties than regular mortar?
It works pretty much like regular mortar. It does set up a little more quickly, but it's a high temperature mortar.
Okay. So now we have a small amount of it that needs to be troweled onto the top of the area where the actual throat, the precast throat, will be installed, right?
Right. They're setting the curved throat we talked about earlier that keeps the flow laminar and makes us waste less heated room air to go up through the chimney. And by laminar flow, it allows the smoke to stay behind it so we can build a tall box without it smoking.
So that's one of the two key elements of Account Rumford is that and the
Shallow,
tall, shallow,
box.
reflective hearth. Here it goes. What's that weigh?
It probably weighs about 200 pounds.
These guys are strong.
Yeah, they are strong.
Now, the throat itself will not be visible once the rest of the chimney comes together, right?
Exactly right. The throat is right at the top of the opening, and they'll lay block across it, and it'll be a smooth, finished opening, no lower than that, but the throat will be hidden behind.
Yeah, it's a shame because it has a pretty shape. It almost looks like an oriental pagoda.
You can always get in the fireplace and look at it.
Yeah. Now, is it proper to use the same refractive mortar even on the back side of it once you've gotten away from the firebox itself?
It's not necessary to back it up with refractory mortar, but everywhere there's a lining, like the flues and the smoke chamber pieces should be put together with refractory mortar because it's close to the flue surfaces.
Right.
But behind it, it doesn't need to be refractory.
All right, so the cast iron damper goes into place. And then, Jim, the clay piece that you've got over there is one of two components, right?
This is half of a smoke chamber.
So
the other half goes the other way, but when we put this in here, then that will make the transition from the throat area where the damper is to the flue size.
And the flue then begins to go up. Good. Well, Jim, thank you for coming on and explaining the Rumford system to us. We're running out of time. Come home again next week. We'll be installing French doors. We're going to be putting the metal roof on and also some of the siding and trim. Beautiful cedar from my friends at Warhauser. Till then, I'm Bob Vila. It's good to have you home again. For lots of information and resources for your home improvement project, check out my website at bobvila.com.